two, one. Line. Oh my gosh. Hello and good day to you all. Welcome to Realism with Christian. My name is Christian, where this is a show that's incorrect. That's not how I do it anymore. Hello and welcome to Realism with Christian, a show. Nope, that's still wrong. Here we go. Last time, no matter what. Hello and good day to you all. Welcome to Realism with Christian, a show that's passionate about the film world and all the universes within it. My name is Christian Spivey, and before we get started, let's briefly, and I mean briefly, catch up. Okay, this is a very mini catch up session. I'm watching The Bad Batch. I'm watching Loki on Disney Plus. We're caught up on The Crown. I'm caught up on The Goldbergs. And there's a lot of other things that I want to watch that I haven't got to yet. But there's just too much time. Not too much time. There's not enough time for what I want to talk about today. I had a whole big conversation. So, and mini catch-ups. Actually, hold on real quick. This too. I wanted to talk about this. This is a book about a movie production company called Pixar. If you haven't read this book, it's called Creative Inc. By Ed Catmull with Amy Wallace. I probably butchered that last name, but let's see if you can see that. Any reflecty boys? Boom. This is a book. If you're a movie person, this is a book you need to check out. Also, there is a documentary that my friend Jacob told me about today called Score. I think it's called Score. Oh, no. Making Waves is free on YouTube. Go watch that junk. End mini catch-up session. Okay, now we're back to the regular episode. I told you that would be very brief. But welcome to Realism with Christian. I already said that. This is the follow-up episode to the first episode. That is quite obvious. But the reason I emphasized on the follow-up episode, the sequel per se, of this episode, and why it's speaking towards that, is because I'm trying to do a good follow-up. And that pertains to my conversation that I had earlier today. Now, I haven't been doing this for a while, and I lacked in some areas of posting, but instead of giving you a bunch of excuses, I just wiped the slate clean. I was overthinking it. I was at the point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, but I'm tired of disappointing. I have some friends that I know are just like, he's going to be consistent this time, or he's like, he needs to be consistent this time. I'm going to be consistent this time. But while having those conversations today, it was I brought up a question to one of the new guys at work, and a guy that that goes to my church and that has just been talking to me about movies. He's pretty passionate about film. He's really into books, but he's there with film as well. But I was talking to them about sequels. I'm like, do you guys like have any good sequels you can think of that are like either just as good or better? Because I encounter a lot of people who don't think sequels are as good. And when I say sequel, I know that can like relate to the third or fourth installment of a series, but I'm talking about the follow-up right after the first original film, the next one, because sequel means just like the movies after, but I'm talking about the direct follow-up right after the first film. And that was the question. I was just like, hey, do you think there is a good sequel, or do those exist? And I was like, yeah, of course, there's plenty. And I was like, could you spit off some right off the bat? And boy, did Josh and Jacob just go at it. They were just naming some left to right, and I only had like about 4 in my mind, and we'll get to those in just a second. But I was just really hyped on the conversation because it became in more depth. It led to another one. Basically, we went into a rabbit hole of conversation for film, and then eventually we're like, oh man, that minutes have gone by. We got to get to work. Like, it was great. And I wanted to tell everyone about this, and I just wanted to just say that if you believe that sequels are never as good as the first film, I'm talking about just a direct follow-up, not other ones, then the way you think is wrong. Just kidding. Well, not just kidding. I just don't think you're correct. But again, those are opinions. We've talked about those. Let's not get too deep into that. But sequels are hard to do. And I want, there's some topics that I want to go over, or just things that relate to that I just want to go over, that will probably give you a whole new perspective on sequels, the follow-ups, whatever you want to call it. The first thing I just want to point out is that people say that the next movie right after the first one is never as good as the original. I beg to differ. There are some out there. Now, don't get me wrong, majority, possibly. Actually, I'll just agree with you at this point that majority of sequels are not as good as the first ones. But there are some that are out there that are freaking fantastic, and I believe are better than the first ones. These are just personal opinions of mine, obviously, and I know I might not name all of them because I want to save this conversation for a segment that I want to do later on. But let's focus in and talk about what my conversation pertained with today. Again, just to make it clear, I'm talking about the follow-up right after the first film. There are there's many sequels to other ones, and there might be that it might be your favorite than not, but I'm talking about the direct follow-up from the first film. There's one film, and I'm talking about the second one in that series. I don't care if there's 3 or 4 or whatever. I'm just talking about the direct follow-up after that sequel, just to make that clear. So if we go into Avengers and you're just like, man, like, I'm not going to say Age of Ultron is better than the first Avengers or any of that right now. That's not part, but example, man, you think Age of Ultron is way better? Infinity War was the best sequel for the first Avengers, from the first Avengers film. I'll agree. Like, Infinity War was great. Endgame is awesome. Age of Ultron was probably the lower in my opinion. I still enjoyed it, but anyway, just want to make that clear. So like I said, the conversation came about at work. We were just talking about it. Just popped in my head. I saw my coworker Josh, and I was like, "Here's the question of the day, man." And I just thought about it. It was spontaneous. It was in the moment, and it birthed a great conversation that just got me super excited. And I was just like, "That's the stuff I want to talk about on the freaking channel," and I am going to do that now. And we went into a whole bunch of films, and I Googled some that I couldn't think of because I was like, man, I'm drawing a blank, but there was just a bunch. But there's some reasons I feel like people get to that point where they're just like, oh, they're not as good as the first one. And there's some people, and how I got to my point where it's like, oh, there is. Like, one is just discovery. Like, you just know that right off the bat. And 2, it's just, I feel like you have a good feeling. When you watch a movie and then you hear them, they're going to make a sequel, you have strong opinions before you say that. And you're just like, oh, I don't know about that one. But you go see it anyway because you love the first one so much, and it's honestly hit or miss. So sequels, hit or miss. But here's why I don't think some of the times they don't work. Sometimes I don't think they work is because I think studios get way ahead of themselves. Yeah, you had major success with that first film, but when you want to just get so into the second one, and nobody, as far as cool, actors are great. Like, actors are very important. But if it's just the actors on the project and the crew that was behind it and all that, as far as writers, director, producers, other cinematographers, who scores it, and all the other cast and crew that like help make that movie come about, is not part of it, and you only have strictly the actors, I don't think that is going to set up your sequel for success at all. Yes, you'll get people in the door because they love the first movie so much, but if it's strictly for the money sake, and I know that's a huge portion of it, I know why studios want to get that going and whatnot. I understand. You got to make money. You want to do it. Like, it'll get people in the door, and you know it. And that's true, but people talk fast. I mean, yeah, they talk fast. Like, I guarantee, like, I hear about a movie and I'll hear it before I go see it, or really gets me, like, speeds up the process to me going to see that in the theater sooner than later, is the hype. Like, I guess people talking about it. If like 10 people are like, come at me after a movie comes out and I wasn't like as interested, they're like, no, dude, you need to go see it, I'll probably be there the next day. if not in a couple hours, if the showing is available. But that's what I think a sequel wouldn't work. Uh, times where times where I think they would work is it's just a hit or miss kind of deal. You don't know, and I think, but also I think it pertains to what I said earlier. If the cast and crew is like everybody all hands on deck, ready to go, and you have a few people here and there that won't make it, and you can just like tweak it as far as writing goes, then I think it'll work very well. But honestly, at the end of the day, they're hit or miss. They either work or they don't. I think most of the reason why sequels come about and why they even exist is because of their successor. The first film that came about. If you make a bomb freaking film, like a great, not if you bomb in the box office, but if you make like a bomb film, like not a Bond film, a bomb film, uh, your studio's probably gonna be like, you need to make another one, and you're probably like, psych, I'm out. That's all I wanted to do. And they're like, okay, fine. Well, we have the rights to it and we're going to do it anyway. So most of the time, sequels exist because of their successor. But sometimes it's okay because, like I said, it's hit or miss and it's going to go. But that's all my thought process and my whole like thing where my mind went to. I'm just like, oh, what makes a sequel good? What's going to make it? Why do they exist and all that? Zip, zap, zoom. Little Kevin Hart stuff right there for you. But I really just want to talk about that they do exist. And for those non-believers who don't think that there's a good sequel that exists, that's not, even if if you don't think it's necessarily better, there are good sequels, good follow-ups to the first films that are installed. And I'm about to tell you some right now. I'm not going to get to all the ones I want to get to because there's a lot. I'm not going to even put a number to it. There is a lot, but I just want to talk to you about a few of them. And some of the ones that are my favorite sequels as of right now. There's some that are coming out probably, and some of these are actually Josh and Jacobs that I talked to today. So shout out to those dudes because they really helped this episode come about, and they didn't even know it. So hopefully I can get them on the show one day to talk to me about movies, and maybe we'll pertain to sequels because they're the ones who helped me birth this idea. Again, they probably don't even know. And if they even end up watching this and get to this much, thank you guys. Honestly, I appreciate you. I'll probably tell you at work, but I'm telling you not at work now. Hopefully you're not watching this at work. Okay. Now, I really wanted to get this out, and I really, really don't know where you could watch these. I don't know if streaming services has them for free. I don't know if you have to have a premium subscription to streaming services to watch these, or if they're going to be on TNT or TV or whatever, if you still have cable, or if they're available for rent on Amazon Prime. And if you don't have Amazon Prime or Apple, if you don't have Apple, I don't know. I can't tell you where to watch these films. If you own them on DVD, break out that DVD player. And if you don't know what a DVD player is, you are too young to watch this channel. So please exit now. Just kidding. Keep watching. A DVD player is a little disc thing where you have to insert a disc, and your parents will tell you. And while you're at it, ask them about a VHS. And while you're at that, ask them about Blockbuster. And ask them about rewinding and how hard life used to be back in the day. And that they pioneered the way so you could stream from your phone and other devices and use voice things like, please let me watch this. You're welcome. I was there. I existed at Blockbuster. I went there a lot as a young child. So there you go. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Let's go. Here are some of the sequels that, like I said, the direct follow-ups that I think are great or just as good as the first, if not even better. I'm starting off strong. And so here we go. You already know me, so you know I was going to mention a Star Wars film. But Empire Strikes Back is, in my opinion, a heck of a lot better than A New Hope. Following up, don't get me wrong, A New Hope was amazing. That launched Star Wars. That was the beginning. That was George Lucas's vision. He planted it into our lives, and now here we are with all these crazy shows and other movies that existed, and there's a ton of sequels from that film on, and prequels and branched off spin-offs and all that jazz. But Empire Strikes Back is a great sequel to the first Star Wars film ever. You got that, and I guarantee people lost their freaking minds, because I lost my mind when I watched it. I was like, wow, this is cool. And then you get Empire Strikes Back, What more could you ask for? I need to wrap this one up quick because if I don't, I'll talk about Star Wars for the rest of the episode. And one, I'll run out of room on my camera and my audio set, and it would just be too long. And I just don't need it to be hours of a time. But if you want to have that conversation, message me. Please do. If you think Empire is a better sequel or a good follow up to Star Wars, if not better than that, let me know in the comments below. I really want to get your thoughts on these few films that we'll get started for. But starting off strong, Star Wars, Return, Empire Strikes Back, after A New Hope, so much better, my opinion. Next one, I'm starting off another bold one. I don't think a lot of people really disagree with me because when I talked to the guys today, I don't think they disagreed at all. I think they were wholeheartedly 100%. Now, I'm not taking a crap on the first film at all, and I'm not saying it's trash or anything like that. I'm just saying that for this particular sequel was a heck of a lot better. And it was like whoa, they stepped it up. But this next one is going to be Christopher Nolan's, one of his masterpieces. Out of all the masterpieces he's created, this follow-up and sequel is phenomenal. The Dark Knight Rises. Now, if you disagree with me and say that Batman Begins is way better than The Dark Knight, or sorry, I said Dark Knight Rises, excuse me, just The Dark Knight, period. The Dark Knight, period. And if you say Batman Begins is way better than The Dark Knight, I am in disagreement with you. Batman Begins was awesome, and we would not have a Dark Knight without Batman Begins. I would agree with that, but saying that is better, in my opinion, heck no. That is one of the greatest sequels to exist. If not, that's just one of the better sequels that exist. Totally think it's way better than the first one. Third one is, this one was Josh's, one of his top ones, and I definitely agree. I haven't watched his movies in a long time, so it makes me want to watch this whole all these movies again. There's a bunch of them, but Terminator 2 Judgment Day, one of James Cameron's masterpieces. Now, if you say Avatar is his masterpiece, you can have that. I'll be honest and straight up front. I'm not a fan of Avatar as much as everybody else. Okay, now hear me out now. I like Avatar. I think it is a great movie. I thought it was really creative in its own, obviously in its own original James Cameron way. But I do not, I wouldn't, it's really hard to say. I'm just not as a fan as much as everyone thinks that is an amazing film. I don't think it's amazing. I think it's good. I don't think it's amazing. Back to Terminator. Terminator 2 Judgment Day, way better than the first one. Again, the first one is not bad at all. First one is actually really good. But the second one is just like, raise the roof. It's so good. Let's go. I can't wait to watch those. All the other ones after that, if they're sequels, prequels, whatever they are, Salvation, like we talked about today with the guys, like Salvation was good with Christian Bale. And I think Genesis was good. And then like the TV series was great. The Sarah Connor Chronicles. That's a tongue twister in my head. Anyway, Terminator 2, great sequel. This is Jacob's sequel, and I after recently watching them, because I came late to the game watching these films, and there's a third installment coming out, and it's really cool because the actor that stars in this film is actually directing the third installment of this film, the next sequel of it. But I would also agree that this is a great sequel, and again, I'm gonna keep saying it. The first one is not bad at all. I like the follow up. But Creed 2. Creed is the boxing film. It's a spinoff of the Rocky Balboa saga, whatever you want to call it, series. It's Adonis Creed, Donnie, or whatever you want to call him, who is Michael B. Jordan, or vice versa. And he's a boxer. He is the son of Apollo Creed from the Rocky movies, and he becomes a boxer, and he works his way up, and then there's a sequel that pertains to one of the Rocky sequels, and it's just really, really cool. And I really like those movies, and I'm super excited for Michael B. Jordan because he's stepping up, and he's just killing the game right now. That's probably one of my favorite actors right now, alongside a whole bunch of other guys. But to star in, and I don't know if he wrote it, but I think he has a good grasp on it. He's gonna be directing it. I think it's gonna be his director directorial debut. I don't know what the term is, but it's his first movie that he's directing. And coming from Ryan Coogler, I don't think he's gonna have a hard time like figuring it out or really portraying anything as far as like what's going on in there. Anyway, Creed 2 though, great movie. I'm gonna get this going a little bit more. I'm gonna make this the last one. We'll just call it the last one, and we're gonna talk about these sequels all day. I just needed to get this out, and I'm so glad that I had that conversation in this birth. And this birthed into my mind, and now it is an episode on the channel. It makes me really happy. Rakes, not the right word. It makes me really happy. But we'll go into the last one. It's not anything crazy, but I do think it's a great sequel from its first one. As far as visual effects go, it's really obvious, but just as far as sticking with the story and creating a narrative out of the first one, obviously, and just keeping some of the same actors in it, and it being such a huge gap in between it. I just love the follow-up, and I'm gonna say it, that Tron Legacy was way better than the first Tron. Now, give it the benefit of the doubt, the first Tron came out in the 80s, I think the early 80s, and visual effects were not what they were back in the day as they are today. Now, it was great, but it related that to the story, and they understood that this is the tech back then, and as they grow, as their universe expanded within that movie universe, that technology got better, and they switched it, and the culture changed, and villains, and a whole society and community within it, and it was just a great film. I really like Jeff Bridges in that film. I think he did a phenomenal job. I think the CGI isn't as bad as that people used to say it is. If you're super nitpicky, I feel like you can find it easy to be like it's super bad. But introducing the young technology that a lot of people are starting to use, especially in like Star Wars film and stuff like that, and like The Irishman and stuff, just de-aging people, like that was I thought it was pretty cool. But the Tron Legacy, great sequel to the first one. But that's about it. That's going to wrap up this episode. I really hope you were engaged as much as I was when I had those conversations, and the conversation that we had here. It definitely won't be the last conversation about sequels that we will have. I definitely want to do this segment called Realism with Friends, and I want to get somebody in here with me and just talk about it. I want probably Josh or Jacob to come in here and we'll talk about sequels all day long like we did, and just have those conversations be more raw and just spontaneous and whatever you want to call it, in the moment kind of things, because structure is good, but flowing is my speed, I guess. I don't know. I'm just glad that we could spend time together and get this episode out. I use a lot of hand motions. I just noticed that this has been a lot today, but other than that, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want. Like that would probably help, but it's not my top goal. I just want to engage with you. Tell me some of the sequels that you like, and maybe I might think of some that I didn't think of today or couldn't find today. Tell me if you didn't agree with some of these, like if you think that Batman Begins was way better, or if Creed 1 was better than the second one, just let me know. Like, comment on there, hit me up on social media, Instagram, Realism with Christian. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, thank you so much for watching the episode today. I'm going to do this after every episode, like I said in the first one. But like we were talking about sequels, the follow-up to movies and whatnot, I just want to let you know, like in life, you kind of get your own sequel within it. This is going to sound super cheesy and tacky maybe, but it's true. You get a second chance, and I just want to let you know that second chance is available to you and to anybody in your life. And it's not something you can force upon them. It's something that they have to make a decision for themselves. But I mean, if you don't know about it, like, the Lord, man. Like honestly, like Jesus is there for you. If that's something that you desire, you've been thinking about, and you just want to know a little bit more, want to know a little bit more about it, uh, by all means, private messages on social media, or on our personal ones and whatnot. But I promise you, there's people behind these cameras praying for you. And right now, maybe they're hearing this and they're praying for you in the moment. But we love you, and we know that God wants more for you than you realize. I don't know exactly what that is, but if you want to talk about that more as well, I just I just cannot share that with people. If especially it's for you, like you have your own follow up, your own sequel per se, your a second chance um, to live. I don't know, a different lifestyle that you have the option to choose. So we are praying for you, and we love you so much. Thank you for watching, for real, honestly.